The mission seems simple enough.
Trying to find out ways to better detect oil when it's spilled in ice-covered waters.
But locating and removing spilled oil off Alaska's northern coast is anything but easy.
This is something we are just learning how to do.
It's a situation that no one wants to imagine. But as the Arctic ice continues to melt and the region starts to heat up, the race to respond is paramount.
The ice conditions are always changing, on an hourly basis here. So learning how to operate in those conditions is something we need to figure out.
Which is why a multi-agency team of engineers and scientists led by the United States Coast Guard Research and Development Team traveled to the Arctic Ocean. They came here aboard the Coast Guard cutter Healy to assess the capabilities of cutting-edge technologies to locate oil in the Arctic. Not only beneath Alaska's icy waters, but from hundreds of feet above.
All hands stay clear of the 05 deck for launch.
Unmanned aerial vehicles, better known as UUVs or drones, can assist.
Roger that. Are you looking at our video feed right now?
A tool that pilot Kevin Doremus with NOAA says is traditionally used by the military to get a bird's eye view of an enemy.
Quiet, easy to deploy, very portable, and very simple to fly.
But for the purpose of this mission, the enemy is oil. Peat moss and oranges are the stand-ins today.
We had a lot of objectives on this mission, and one of the major ones is basically a proof of concept.
This is the Puma, a drone with a wingspan of 9 feet and weighing 13 pounds. Operators say it's incredibly easy to maneuver, but they still have many other questions.
It's designed to be simple, off the shelf. It's designed for somebody who's not a pilot to be able to pick this thing up and fly it.
With a range of 12 miles,
and you can see in the corner of the images,
a camera on board sends real-time video back to a ground station.
I'd say one of the best qualities of the Puma is it allows you to get an aerial asset, an environment that you would not normally have access to an aerial asset.
But when sea ice is involved, the view from Puma is obscured.
If it's cold and the ice is continuing to freeze, that oil might get incorporated into the ice.
Gonna do it?
But it's a problem that might be solved by using this device, known simply as the Jaguar, an underwater vehicle that scientist Clay Coons with Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in Massachusetts says has a mind of its own and was originally designed to map the ocean floor in search for invasive species. But with the sensors literally turned upside down, this robot is now being used to hunt for oil.
The sensors that it's going to be using, or that it would use to detect oil under ice, are quite effective.
Unlike most unmanned underwater vehicles or UUVs that are torpedo-shaped, the Jaguar has a 2-hole configuration.
This is what we actually are going to be using to map out the shape of the underside of the ice.
Along with mapping technology, the top hole also serves largely as a flotation device to stabilize the Jaguar and prevent it from pitching and rolling, while thrusters in the back propel the machine.
So basically you can hover in place, rotate in place, and transit vertically, kind of like a helicopter.
Scientists here are hopeful that someday they will be able to track oil underneath the ice in real time, doing so at even greater distances.
We're not quite there. I think we're pretty close, and we're working on building newer vehicles which can go much further under the ice.
If the Jaguar is the future, then the best present-day technology might be this underwater device.
It's a great tool. It's a set of eyes. It gives us real-time video.
This ROV, better known as Video Ray, is owned and operated by the Coast Guard.
It's exactly like a joystick video arcade game. It's forward, back, lights on, lights off, and it's a fun drive out there.
The ROV sends real-time video back to the ship using a lengthy tether.
It works pretty good. It's got about a 500 to 1,000 foot range.
The Coast Guard started using ROVs shortly after 9/11. It gave maritime safety and security teams the ability to inspect piers and hulls of ships for any signs of terrorist activity. Now the hope is to use ROVs to collect data, track oil recovery, and help to eliminate interaction between humans and atmospheric conditions that can prove deadly in short order.
Obviously, we can't put a person in the water here to go do a live dive. It's just too cold, or we can, but it's very high risk. This takes the person out of that equation.
But for all the potential benefits, will these experimental technologies even work in a harsh place like the Arctic Ocean?
Yeah, it's the first time we've ever flown Puma up here in the Arctic.
A lesson learned quickly. Mother Nature is boss in the Arctic.
This is probably the first time we ever saw an aircraft, a Puma aircraft, that actually iced and came out of the sky because of that. Fortunately, it came out of the sky, 200 meters from the ship.
If one of these things crashes, it's unfortunate for our program because we lost a piece of equipment, but the risk is just so much lower as far as human life.
Back below the surface, both the ROV and Jaguar ran into problems. Some expected, and others knew. For the ROV, operators noticed degraded performance in the electrical motors due to frigid water.
So we're noticing it's probably about 50% of its normal speed going forward.
As for the Jaguar,
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously too heavy for us to go in.
tracking the prototype device has been a long-standing struggle throughout its testing.
You want to push the boundaries of the science. You want to be prepared to send the vehicle into a situation where you are prepared to lose it.
That's what happened a year ago during a test in the Antarctic. Scientists from Woods Hole lost contact with the Jaguar, unable to recover it. $500,000 lost to the sea.
But you are comfortable with losing the vehicle because the consequences of not being able to control that oil spill are so much greater.
An acceptable financial setback today,
Got eyes on?
in hopes of avoiding an even costlier environmental disaster in the future.